Hello and welcome to the Worn and Wound podcast. My name is Blake Bettner and I'm in studio in Brooklyn here today with Kat Shoulders.
Hey
Kat, how are you?
Good.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
I feel like it was just yesterday that we were in here doing the same thing.
Kind of.
Kind of, yeah. Well, it's great to have you on the podcast and here in person, and also in person is Mr. Zach Kazan.
In person.
In person.
Yes. Here,
Out of
live and in person. Yeah.
Live and in person. We also have Thomas Sklar here. Thomas, hey, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, we're in person. Yeah, it's great to have everybody in person. It's hard to talk to people. The screens, it's
when you're in the screen, it's not that hard.
Yeah,
I find it
okay. You don't mind?
I'm used to it
screen.
at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of thrown off that Zach is here because I'm used to seeing him on the screen.
How do we talk to him? Yeah, he's right there.
Do you want me to go in there and just jump on a call and I can?
No, it's okay.
Yeah. All right, we've got some fun things to talk about today. We three of us here had the opportunity to go hands-on with all the new watches from LVMH Watch Week just earlier today, and boy, we had a wild time. We saw some
a wild
time. We saw some crazy watches that we just have to talk about some of these things. So before we get into that, we can do a wrist check. I think we've all got some. I see some interesting watches here at the table. Let's start with you, Kat. What are you wearing?
I'm wearing my sub.
You're wearing your sub? Okay.
Yeah. I got it back.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I like the sub.
Yeah. I hear.
Okay. Zach, what are you wearing?
IWC Pilot's Chronograph 41 Seritanium.
All right. A sub in Seritanium would be nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Thomas, what do you got on there?
So today I got on the Citizen Aqualand. This is the JP 200-17W. This is the Lume dial variation. And I actually just got this NATO in. So shout out NATO International on eBay. I've been trying to find something that kind of fits this watch other than wearing it on the rubber strap. And I've noticed that just trying to find a 24 millimeter NATO with black or PVD coated keepers, but that aren't the like heavy duty like D-ring keepers. So this is kind of like more subtle here.
I think that would be an easy thing to find, but
no.
Well, it looks great on there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like it. I threw it on today, and I've just been wearing it ever since. Yeah. So shout out to NATO International. You can find them on eBay. So
I really like the knurled bezel. Piece there.
Yeah, man.
Right.
It's fancy.
It's very cool. All right. Fancy, you might even say. All right, I'm also wearing a Submariner. It's a 14060 M. Yeah.
Fancier.
It's it's got just 4 lines of dial.
Yeah.
On it, or 4 lines of text on the dial, unlike the 2-liner. So super rare.
Here's a question. A lot of collectors, I get the sense from reading forums, they prefer the 2-line dial because it's cleaner, and people always say, "Oh, so much text." And I like text. I like to read, so I don't have a problem with text on a dial.
I don't mind the text either. I am definitely in the minority there, though. Like somebody made a thread on the Rolex forums about this reference, and I was like, am I the only one that likes the 4-line dial? And everyone was like, yes, you're weird and get out of here.
I mean, they don't like the busyness of it, maybe, or
it's just like more on the dial.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, like it's a perfect kind of blend of it. Like it makes it look a little bit more like the modern sub, and I don't know. I'm not offended by it.
Yeah.
So I think it looks fine.
I owned the Pelagos LHD twice, and that's often maligned for having a lot of text on the dial. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't. It's I don't know. I think it's part of the charm of the watch. I don't need a bare sterile dial at all.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah, sometimes you need to be reminded about what your watch is capable of doing.
This is it's a superlative chronometer officially certified.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, I was hoping to be able to put a solid end link bracelet. I don't know if you know this. These watches never came with solid end link. The 14060 in any form, and they all have lug holes. So I don't know if there's any solid end link bracelet from Rolex that would fit on this.
Good question.
But I intend to find out. Overall, though, I like this watch a lot.
It's nice.
It's kind of the best of all worlds. So yeah, good wrist check. Yeah,
solid.
Showing up. Yeah. Solid. Yeah. We we saw some cool watches today. We saw a lot of watches today. We talked to a lot of interesting people today. We met some new people today. We got to talk the first time. This was our first time talking to the CEO of Bulgari. I thought he was quite lovely. Had some interesting things to say.
Nice.
They this year for LVMH Watch Week released mostly women's, like entirely women's watches. This was the first time that I've ever seen one of those Serpenti watches in person.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Like how flexible it was, and how it was like a spring kind of, and how that lady put it on.
It's impressive.
Kind of like wrapped it around. It was that was a cool watch.
So is that a bracelet?
It's like a bracelet and a watch. And like the head of the watch is like kind of like the head of a snake almost.
Okay.
But then that's like the watch.
It's pretty cool. So. Very iconic too.
Yeah, exactly. So they and it sounded like it might even be like a gender neutral one. I guess they all are. Any of us could wear any of those. But they've got kind of diamonds inset in a long. I don't know. I don't even know what you call it.
I mean, the Serpenti is very classically feminine. I wouldn't say that that's gender neutral. I mean, anyone can wear whatever they want, obviously, but like that watch is conceived for women
for
in
females,
a kind of a very classic way. Yeah. But yeah, and she did mention that there's been interest in and talk of a true gender neutral version of that watch coming at some point.
It'd be really interesting.
It'd be very interesting.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking about like just that's a bonkers kind of out there execution of a bracelet.
Yeah.
You don't really see much movement there on like different styles of bracelets or much creativity there. Like, and it made me think, what else could you do there to to do something different? I guess to keep it affixed to your wrist, other than Velcro, of course. So, I don't know what the answer to that is, but I would like to see more
you've
brands
seen
do
like
that.
Hermes do like kind of a wraparound strap again that sort of acts like a bracelet for more women because they like to have a more statement piece, I guess, on the wrist. So, I'd love to see more brands play around with that idea of you're wearing this thing, like make it a statement and make it a sort of a piece of jewelry. I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of what it is. These watches are, to me, I've always viewed them as like a piece of jewelry.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, so let's get more creativity brands. With some bracelet options. Well, like NATOs are so popular. Like you think of a brand like really took the time to engineer something kind of a similar ilk, but like right into the like OEM style would be kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of like the Apple Watch. That's kind of different. That like loop system.
Yeah, even Apple Watch. Those are great. Like just kind of.
Yeah, honestly, Apple has done more in the like bracelet / strap game over the last like decade or so, however long the Apple Watch has been out. Has it been 10 years since the Apple Watch came out? Or not quite?
I don't think not quite.
I mean, in any case, like they've done a lot for like, the strap world. Just the idea of like a quick change strap that, at the touch of a button can, change and swap out straps. Like Apple really made that kind of a necessity. I think that spurred a lot of Swiss brands on to kind of like step up their game a little bit.
Yeah, I think so, especially with the system, like the quick release and quick exchange systems.
Yeah.
And we've seen some pretty slick one developed so far, including today. We saw a few with the press a button, you pull a lever, whatever. Like there's a lot of that stuff that you see that works really well. It's really just, it's not like that many different options in terms of bracelets or straps to it'd be interesting if they like licensed the clasp to other strap manufacturers or something like that to, hey, have at it, make crazy straps or something and use our own system for it. This was the first time I had played with the Zeniths, where you like pull the little thing and the two tabs pull out.
Yeah, they have a good one.
That's cool. That was very cool. Yeah.
Is that on the bracelet? Like, where's that on?
Yeah, it was on the bracelet and the lever itself, I think. Was it in like an end link or was it on the case? And then it releases the two tabs.
I believe it's on the case.
On the case itself.
Yeah.
And so is a Hublot. It's like a little button, and that's like on the top of it right here. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's on the outer side of it?
I think it's like on top.
That's interesting. Wouldn't that be a weak point, do you think?
I wonder.
On the outside?
I mean, is there like a mechanism that you have to kind of push
maybe
to like unlock or like flip to unlock or?
No, that would be cool. Like flip a little thing and shoots out of the watch.
Well, like Formex has that. Well, I feel like that's similar to Formex, but Formex, their quick change is like on the underside, and it's kind of like that lever / push button.
And it just pops out. Yeah, that's true. And Hublot had another strap there that was a Velcro strap for that Sora.
I saw you light up when you saw it.
Man. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Yeah, it's like a very high end premium watch, and they took care and consideration to make like a very high end premium Velcro strap.
Yeah.
For it, so.
The other strap though is like a camo version of the sunset pattern, like on that watch, which is just like insanely cool. I would never want to wear it on any other strap.
Well, but if you need to tone it down a little bit,
why would you ever want to tone down a watch with like a rhinoceros on the dial? That's not a watch you tone down.
The head of the watch itself, there's no toning down.
So
that's something you do with the Classic Fusion.
Yeah, which again,
you tone down the Classic Fusion.
Yeah, which we saw today, and was very nice, but it was toned down. It was just not my preferred.
That's not how you like.
It's not your cup of tea.
Style.
That's
of
not how
Hublot.
you prefer Hublot. Yeah. You dialed up to 11. They had
dial it up to 12.
They had a watch there that was dial it up to 11 or 12. The SAXEM, we finally got to see the SAXEM in person.
How cool was that watch, man?
It was awesome.
Yeah. It was intense.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like.
Did you need a pair of sunglasses to like look at that thing?
And a cigarette after you put it on your wrist. It's cool. So it's I don't even know how to describe the color. Like pictures didn't really do this thing justice.
It's like it reminds me of like a tennis ball color, but even brighter.
Yeah.
And it's translucent. It's really nice. Star of the show for me. It was the watch I was most looking forward to seeing. I was a big fan of the purple version, which is a different material that came out last year. The SAXEM, I think feels like it's been a while since I've handled the purple sapphire version, but the SAXEM feels very premium. Like it's a very, it feels like very high quality, material.
The strap was super nice on it. Yeah.
Everything about
comfortable.
It was just very luxurious and wonderful. It was great.
Yeah. And 100% ridiculous.
Completely, insane. Like not practical or, like a good financial decision, like in any way. But like,
not.
It's an insane, just crazy watch. I love it.
We have a watch recon alert set for SAXEM now.
Might as well.
Never know.
Who knows? Yeah.
Would you like to see them do like a Classic Fusion in that, like with one of those cases?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just the glass, the synthetic glass stuff is just like I have a strange like personal obsession with it now. I think it's really fun. It's like one of the more interesting things happening.
When will we see that kind of thing kind of trickle into like I feel like we've seen a lot of exotic, semi-exotic things kind of come into the smaller independent space and more affordable spaces. I wonder if it will get to a time where it's like that. And Hublot, of course, is the one kind of like pushing forward in that realm. And just like they were like a long time ago, I feel like they had these forged carbon or whatever kind of carbon watches that were, whoa, this is so, now you see those kind of things everywhere. Maybe it'll be a similar situation.
Yeah. It'll happen. I'm sure that the other brands will, get involved. It'll trickle down. It'll become more readily available and affordable. And we'll see all sorts of different, synthetic materials that kind of mimic that. But I feel like that'll happen at some point.
Yeah.
Be cool to see a G-Shock like with that, right? Like,
I feel like it's about as close as in terms of like some of the colors. Like, I feel like they had a tennis ball yellow watch release.
They did.
Really?
Last year or something like that. That was like bright.
Yeah.
That was also pretty cool.
Hublot's got to like throw that watch on like a U.S. Open like player or something like that. Like that.
Yeah.
That's
That's the next step. That's the next step. Yeah. There's a few kind of weird. It's not the only like sporty watch that we saw today. We'll talk more about the other one that we saw in a bit. But just to talk a little bit more about Hublot, they also had these gem set rainbow watches as well, which are like obviously a big thing right now. There was a Unico Big Bang one, and then there was the time only integrated bracelet. You can't see me right now. I just did air quotes around time only. As I explained in my review of the Elite time only, that is a term that we usually reserve for watches that are literally time only and have no complications. This, of course, has a date.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they just call it date integrated. would seem to be a little cleaner and more accurate. But anyways, these were both like pretty cool, and the rainbow cascade color effect went through the
links.
It
was pretty cool
and all that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I put a picture in my stories, and I already got people saying, "Well, this is very you." So, I guess I give off that vibe of what that guy needs.
A rainbow.
Not another
rainbow
sub.
watch, yeah.
He needs a rainbow Hublot.
Of
some sorts.
I agree.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. Let your hair down, man.
Yeah. It was close. It was between another sub and a rainbow Hublot. Right there. So. They're all cool. And I was surprised. I thought I was going to like the 38 millimeter version of that classic Fusion, but I think the 42 millimeter was the one to go for my wrist, at least.
It wore smaller.
It wore smaller.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, that's Hublot. We have a lot of Hublot coverage on the site of this kind of stuff. If you're curious, so check it out. We'll put some links to that stuff down below. Let us know your thoughts on these watches and just how crazy you think Zach is down in the comments below, which you will promptly disregard.
Getting crazier by the day.
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Meaning to talk to you about that. Yeah. You need to settle down. Okay. All right, what else? So the first thing that we saw those Bulgari watches that we mentioned first. They had a watch there that wasn't new, but it was a watch that we hadn't seen before. And this watch really made an impression in person. It's their ultra thin Octo Finissimo. I don't know if there's like a specific name for it. It's the one that has like the QR code on the barrel of the movie. It's thinner than like a credit card. I think she said. So you could.
It was so thin.
It's inconceivably thin. I mean, you look at it and it's like your brain can't comprehend that what's going on in it. And it had its whole special box and that was explicitly for winding and setting.
It's the Octo Finissimo Ultra.
Ultra
is the name of the watch.
Ultra.
So,
all right. Yeah. Well, not even ultra thin.
Just
ultra. Ultra.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it is ultra thin. I think it had the record for a bit. Like right there with Piaget before the Richard Mille Ferrari.
World's thinnest mechanical watch briefly until Richard Mille. Yeah.
Interesting.
It makes me, and I think the Richard Mille Ferrari thing is like 0.5 millimeter thinner still.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is hard.
A waft.
Can't imagine after handling the Ultra today how you could possibly deal with something thinner. I don't know. Like it's mind blowing. It was a mind blowing thing to handle that watch.
I wonder like what the market is for a super thin watch. It's not something I've ever really considered. Thickness, when it's too thick, but never really like, this is too thin. But when I picked up that watch and we were looking at it, I almost felt like it would be fragile to wear. I would be scared to wear it.
I cannot imagine.
It's not like they really claim that it's like they put it through tests and that it can.
But it's just like a mind over matter thing. I would be worried wearing it.
I would be as well because it's not a small watch. Like it takes up quite a bit of surface area on your wrist. It's just.
It has to because everything's flattened out and spread through a larger.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty impressive technical feats that were achieved with this watch. And the CEO, interestingly, kind of talked about this a little bit, and that it opened up into a market of like tech people that were not like watch collectors, but they were impressed with like the tech of it.
Yeah.
Like the technological elements of it being thin, and if you like look at it, it's very like. Sci-fi-ish.
Yeah, it is.
Looking something like I don't know how to describe it.
There's a QR code on the dial.
Yeah, like it's I don't want to use the term like tech bro, but there are people that appreciated it for reasons for their own reasons that normally aren't into watches, and these were like some of the buyers of the watch. So he was just psyched that it opened up the brand to kind of a new realm of customers. And
that makes sense.
I wonder how often that happens. How much it's like kind of an unexpected crossover that brings in a group of people that aren't normally like disposed to liking this kind of stuff. So, but that was a really cool watch. It had like an exposed kind of end of a gear on both sides for winding the watch on one side and then for setting the watch on the other. But you're not supposed to do it with your fingers. The box comes with it, and it's got these electric components in it. You set the time in the box and then set your watch in the thing, and it will wind it and set it for you. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it is pretty cool.
But if you're like traveling over to Europe, you land, you're like, I got.
Oh yeah, what are you gonna do?
Watch it like 6 hours. Like, surely there's a way to adjust it. You're not gonna pull the box out of the.
You're not gonna take the box.
Just bring the box.
You're not gonna take the box.
Just put the box in your carry-on. It's fine. No big deal.
I had to set the time. Yeah.
And it was a big box.
It was a big box. Yeah. And she said, if you don't want to wear it, it's a nice display. You can like just display it.
You better be wearing that watch if you buy it.
Like, and then I envision like walking into some like rich person's home and like on the, under the fireplace or something, they've got just this box open with this thing on and you can.
It's
there it is.
I mean, I didn't know about the box. Like in my reading about this watch, I didn't know that it used this like automatic, setting and winding mechanism. And that was a really cool like moment when she closed the box and like the time was set and it kind of like comes to life. There's a little light, underneath
light
the
in the
box
bottom that was like breathing.
Yeah. And you were like, what's going on in there? Like, is there a little guy in there? What's happening?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Schrodinger's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's I think there was a black part that landed above the watch with the door closed, and I think that's the sensor that's like looking at the hands and gears and whatever and making sure that it's like right. Maybe I didn't build the thing. It was cool though, and it had that like magic effect of like, ooh,
this is the future.
What's going on? That's cool.
Yeah.
So that watch definitely left an impression, and I'm excited to see how some of these things start trickling into other like more not pedestrian, civilian. Octo Finissimos, maybe, which is a watch that I think all three of us are like a lot. Yeah. The gal that was showing it to us had a gold Octo Finissimo on that was very beautiful.
Yeah, that was nice
because it's kind of like a matte gold almost. It wasn't like all shiny. It was like a bead blasted almost. I'm sure it's not, but it just like looked that way on her wrist.
Yeah, it's very
like
nice.
As she was like talking to us about other things, like I just kept staring at that watch and I was like, that's really cool.
There was a moment where she took her watch off and compared it to the Ultra, and the Bulgari Octo Finissimo. If anyone has handled one, like how thin that watch is. It's kind of like unbelievably thin, and the Ultra makes that watch look like my IWC chronograph or something. It's like downright bulky by comparison.
And it's like 7 millimeters thick or something like that.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Very thin, but like normal thin. Like still enough meat on the bone where you're not feeling like concerned when you walk around and like do stuff. Like get groceries or pick your kid up or do something like that where you're bending your wrist a lot. Like I would be constantly thinking.
You don't want to bite down on it like a cracker. It's not quite
well, how else do you know it's real?
I don't know.
No, that's a cool watch. Lots of really cool like technical things on that watch. We'll put some live pictures on the site soon so you can check them out. I don't know if we'll be able to like justify like just how thin this thing is.
Yeah,
like,
it's hard to say.
It's hard to
and then even tell in a photo. Like you gotta pick one up.
Yeah. It's crazy. So that was the Octo Finissimo. I think we'll be seeing more of those watches potentially in a couple of months for Watches and Wonders. We certainly hope so. So some other watches that we saw. I want to move back to the sport watch we saw. We saw Tag Heuer watches. We spent a lot of time learning about Connected. Is that what it is?
Connected.
There's a Connected watch. And one of them was for golfers. I didn't golf. I learned something new about Zach Kazan today. Zach Kazan golf.
Zach golfs?
Zach golf.
So I don't golf as much now as I used to. Every once in a while I will. But I used to be like a very serious golfer, like in my adolescence and into high school. Like I was almost good enough to like maybe walk on to like a Division III golf team, but like not quite that good, which means like I wasn't that good, but like I was like very serious about it for a while and like really.
What is that like a scratch golfer?
Oh no, I wasn't a scratch golfer. Like I would shoot like in the kind of like I guess like high 70s, low 80s, on a pretty consistent basis when I was in.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like it's not good enough to like turn it into a money making operation, which is what I fantasized about when I was 14 years old.
Yeah,
but
high 70s, low 80 points. That's not good enough. You need to be like up in the 130s and the. Golf is lower.
Lower
the lower is the better. So the watch that we saw could track this stuff for you intelligently. It used AI, they said. So when you swing a golf club, it knows that you swung a golf club, and then we'll start tracking the distance that you walk to the ball, and then But what if you take like kind of a
detour,
roundabout,
a scenic route?
Yeah, you grab a beer from the cart over on the thing, or
you get chased by alligator on the course.
Maybe this
like that.
Maybe this is the intelligent part, the artificial intelligent part. It's like, oh, this guy's clowning around over here for a bit.
It learns not only your golf habits but your drinking habits.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a GPS element involved. Like starting from here, and then once you end up at the ball to make your other swing, it's the point A to point B.
So there's a GPS. I was speaking with the gentleman at Tag Heuer about this. There's a GPS element to it because that's what recognizes the golf course that you're at. So like you turn the
you don't even have to put
you turn the app on and it knows which course you're at.
They have all these courses loaded already on there.
Yeah,
I guess that's like the internet that it has access to.
Yeah, and apparently like virtually every course is like part of their network. Wow. So it's kind of impressive. Like I mentioned this when we were kind of talking about it at the event. Like I never, I'm not in the habit of wearing a watch when I play golf because and most serious golfers don't wear watches when they play golf. Even like, like the famous brand ambassadors that you think of, who are professional golfers, like they're not wearing watches in competition for the most part. Mm-hmm. But when they win the tournament and have the press conference, that's when they put the Rolex on or whatever. Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I'd want to wear a watch when I'm engaged in that activity because like you need full motion of your wrist. It's like it's part of the game.
Not even if it could tell you how far you keep track of your strokes.
I mean, I don't know. People have been keeping track of their strokes without the aid of a computer for as long as golf has existed.
It's like a sheet of paper, a pencil. What is this? Come on.
So is that the only thing it does? It only tracks how far you hit the ball?
No, it does all kinds of other stuff.
It knows like when you've taken a swing.
Okay.
And it will add up your score, kind of as you go. So apparently you can differentiate between like a practice swing and a real swing. And it just takes all of the quote unquote work out of keeping score, which is not hard to do. And it just does it all automatically. And it will like suggest a club for you. It learns your swing, learns how far you hit a 7-iron versus an 8-iron, and like will tell you like it's like a little caddy basically.
Mm-hmm. Probably gives you a lot more stats too that you might be curious about if you are serious in golf. Like people like that stuff.
Yeah. It gamifies all.
Yeah.
The game of golf. Yeah. But this isn't. It's what I found interesting is that they kind of presented it as these like all these different watches, and this is the golf one, and this is. But it's all the same. It's running on all the same software, so they all do it.
Yeah.
But there's one that you can get like that just comes with a golf ball.
Well, it has a bezel. That is.
Oh, and the 18.
It has.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
But you could theoretically do all of that stuff with any of them. It's like a new app functionality or something.
Also, if you play golf. There's never a point during the round where you're like, what hole am I on? Like, you just know. Like, you don't need, you would never need to, like, consult something to think, like, what hole am I on? Yeah, and also you just know. Like, you just
know? Okay.
You just know. Like, if you're playing basketball, like, like, what stage of the game you're at, like, what hole you're on the course.
Okay.
Like, you don't, like, if you're playing basketball, you don't think to yourself, is it the second quarter or the third? Like, if you do think that, I don't know. Maybe Kyrie Irving thinks that sometimes.
I think there are some players in the NBA that at one point or another wouldn't put it past them.
So it's, so it's counting to 18 and then adding like 3s and 4s and a 5 every now and then. If you can do that stuff, then you get along just fine. Yeah. But I will say I was pretty impressed with the screen on this thing. I thought it was neat. It kind of like looked like it went all the way around the edge and like over the edge. The new case is smaller really size. Like the big thing. It's a 42 millimeter. It's a smaller case. It's a little bit lighter. So it was pleasant, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was nice. I've worn them before and I thought the size was too big. So this is a more universal size.
Yeah, they were 45 millimeters.
Pretty before. Big. Pretty big.
Wow. So the new smaller connected watches. Which we learned a lot about today. So, but that we also saw some other watches from Tag Heuer, the Carrera, the 60th anniversary Carrera, just as handsome as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, very nice.
I like the Carreras a lot. Yeah. That was a standout.
There's also some other ones there. I guess we can't talk about those just yet. We can't talk about the Solar Graph Aqua Racer, which is just as awesome as I thought that was going to be. I like that watch a lot.
I liked it too.
As well.
Coming from a
titanium
hater.
Titanium.
I know.
It didn't feel like chintzy cheap.
No, it didn't.
Titanium,
yeah,
though.
it felt really nice.
Like good titanium. Sometimes they can feel
titanium.
the good kind.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they can feel like they came out of a Cracker Jack box.
Yeah.
You know, and like kind of chintzy.
Well, there's different grades, right?
And all
Titanium.
that kind of stuff. And like finishing or how that, I don't know. But this one felt real nice.
It's a really cool. It's like the first tag that I feel like I would buy.
Yeah.
And wear.
I felt that way too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also, I don't feel that way about other tag. Like I find them, there's other tag wear watches that I find attractive and that I don't mind at all. I've never like longed for one.
Yeah.
This I long for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I was a fan of that watch, like when they released it during LVMH week, and I saw some of your pictures, and I mean Zach had this one photo where it just looked like incredibly warm, and the titanium has that appeal to it, where like you have the earthier tones, and you also had mentioned Zach, then Other Lightning just kind of has that like more like matted gray look to it, but I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of that watch.
No, I think you'd like it in person. We'll get one in here as soon as we can and check that thing out a little more in detail and get a review going. So if you have any questions on that watch, let us know, and we'll be sure to address them as best we can. Moving on to Zenith. There was quite a few new watches from Zenith, actually. Maybe more than any of the other brands. They had a lot of new releases. I guess colors, like different color dials, different sizes of the skylines, those smaller skylines, and then the skeletonized skyline. I was surprised that I thought that was going to be a bit bulkier, and because when we had that skyline in here, I was like, oh, that's a bit. It's lost some of the like grace that the older ones had.
Well, we've talked about this, but the
classics.
Yeah, the older ones are like legitimately like very thin.
Yeah.
And like they're very thin. Like they're not like technically like an ultra thin watch, but they're pretty darn close.
Like 9 or 10, like anything in that realm is pretty dang.
Yeah, the Skyline is just kind of like normal, normal sports watch.
But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I could wear that.
It's big, but it's not overbearing. I think it's appropriate for the type of watch it is, which is kind of we were talking about statement pieces earlier. Like this is it kind of unfairly gets compared to the Royal Oak, I think because of the shape, and I'll fight anyone who like says that it's like a knockoff of the Royal Oak. That's just dumb. But it sort of like has the same kind of like really sharp finishing. Like you want it to stand out on your wrist, in that way. Like it's a watch that's kind of meant to be seen. So I'm a big fan of the Skyline. I think they're really, really cool watches.
Yeah, Zenith has been doing crazy case shapes since the 60s.
Yeah.
Maybe before. So they've got track record of all this kind of stuff. One of them is a Defy, I guess it's like the A3961. And then that Bank Vault was the original one from last year that they came out with. I don't even know how to describe this thing. It's all kinds of like shapes and finishes kind of all put together, but it somehow like works better than it probably should. And the hour markers kind of look like a folded up piece of origami paper that's been like kind of unfolded, or accordion style or something like that. I don't know what you'd call it. Pretty funky watch. They had the red dial version there. And our friend Roman, who's also a podcast alum, I'll put a link to that one down below, had his own personal like original Defy, which was really cool to see. And I was like shocked when he said how much you could get those things for. And
used to
be able to.
They've gone up,
and even now, even what he said now, I was like, wow, it's
not bad
at all. But very interesting looking watch as far as vintage watches go.
I really like vintage Zenith. I think they're got this like futuristic mid-century modern look to them. Really
it's like this retro futurism that they kind of capture really, really well. So that was a really cool watch. And on the ladder bracelet, I think maybe we'll see more of those moving ahead as well, which is kind of exciting. And the Skyline skeletonized. Like, I was trying to ask Julian about exactly that. Like, the Defy Classic. That's what it was. That platform, that format doesn't exist now. It was phased out with that limited edition Fuse Alp watch. So now it's been taken over by these other, neat and interesting watches. But there's kind of a gap where that watch was, like the one that you had, that I don't see filled right now. So that's like the one thing that I hope they come back to and do a format like similar to that one. I don't care if it looks different or whatever, but like that one nailed. I don't know, just its proportions, its size, like all of that stuff really, really well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that their other big release, at LVMH Watch Week was the 36 millimeter Skyline, which uses that elite movement. Mm-hmm. And that watch at 36 millimeters is still kind of like, thick. It's not as thick as I don't think it's as thick as the 41 millimeter version, but it still has kind of like a bulkiness to it, even at 36 millimeters. But I mean, anything's possible with that elite movement if they use that for a future version of a Skyline or some other Defy yet to come, because that's a very thin movement and they have a track record of using it in thin watches. So
I think so. And I have a track record of using different materials as well, and going down all kinds of crazy routes with some of these watches. So I'm curious to see how this evolves. And this is very much kind of like step 1 or 2 of the Skyline, and it's taking over this kind of portion of that collection. So, but I guess we can say, I mean, he was very open about what to expect at Watches and Wonders. That would be potentially like pilot watches in that range. So we haven't seen any of this kind of stuff. I have no idea what it's going to look like or what that means. So yeah, but it was refreshing to hear him talk about confronting that we're not pilots, we're not divers, we're not all these things, and they're going to build watches that they think are suitable for like real world use and practical and real world use over like the kind of extremes that some of these watches tend to go in.
Mm-hmm. I'm very curious to see what he means by that and how it kind of comes to fruition in like a tangible
and marketing, I think especially because like it's one thing to say that, but then if you have a commercial with somebody diving off a cliff or flying in it's like then it's all hogwash basically. It's like I want to see what their marketing is like, and something we do here at Worn and Wound is obviously kind of talk to the everyday enthusiast, and I hope that they can kind of reach that crowd a little bit more.
Yeah, it's true. I think there's a certain like aspirational element, like when Tudor releases a new diver and it's like on the wrist of some commando going at night in the water with a gun or something like that. And it's like, that's cool. I want to be like that guy, or whatever. And then you're walking around with this thing thinking, I'm just
military
like
industrial complex.
It's like neat to see, and that I think really the bridge is like this watch is capable of doing extreme things. Yeah. So if you do extreme things, where he's like, nobody's doing these extreme things, so we're just gonna build a watch that's like comfortable and usable. Yeah. Like for normal people. Yeah. I guess they can be both.
Well, yeah. I mean, like you could have like a dive watch and just like a normal person just diving off a boat, and not this like extravagant like big storyline either. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I'm excited to see where things go with them. So after everything you saw today, any watch that particular stands out or didn't work as well as you thought, or what watch you're taking home, Zach?
I mean, I've already said I love that the SAXEM Hublot. I think that to me is the standout. I also my expectations were met, I would say, on the Skyline, the skeletonized Skyline. I was really glad to see that. I wish they had the blue one. They just had the black one available, for exhibition at the event. So maybe we'll see the blue one, Watches and Wonders. Who knows, or somewhere else. But I was very pleased with that. I've kind of been missing having a Zenith in my collection, and because that brand means a lot to me, and I've always enjoyed the watches, and particularly the Defy. So that skeletonized Defy skeleton is really appealing to me. I like that a lot.
Yeah. No, I feel it. I will say it exceeded my expectation, but I thought it was going to be like a little, and I actually liked it more than I thought I was going to.
So the thing another thing worth pointing out is the dial configuration has changed from the previous Skyline. It still has that running seconds that rotates, one full rotation every 10 seconds, which is quite fast and not particularly useful, but it's now at 6:00 and there's no date. So it's even with the skeletonization, it feels like a much more balanced dial to me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I prefer that setup as well. Yeah. And I mean, shout out to that boutique edition. That was quite lovely.
Yeah, that was nice looking.
And that was another one I saw pictures of. I don't know about that, but in person, it really worked. So that was pretty cool. And again, I think we got some live shots of that.
We did.
So check those out on the site. What about you, Ken?
Yeah, the Tag Aqua Racer, the Solar. I like the tech and I like the watch a lot. And yeah, the titanium was great. I didn't hate it. So it's a very nice watch. Very me. I'm a pretty simple person. I mean, in my taste, I like a good diver.
I think
and then the other one was one we can't talk about yet from Zenith. That I think a lot of people will like. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I know you weren't there today, but anything that you've seen?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think definitely like you guys said, the Solar Graph is definitely one that stuck out to me during the LVMH Watch Week. I really do like I like how the titanium case and the bracelet all have that uniform finish to it, that sandblasted finish, and the fact that you said that there's a certain weightiness to it. And I just think just construction wise with the titanium bezel, the titanium case back, the case as well as the bracelet. And then I'm, sucker for lume. So the two different color lume is kind of fun on the Solar Graph. And Hublot, I think, SAXEM's cool, but I the more and more I look at the Sorai edition, that one is that's really cool. And then I have to agree with you, Zach, that strap, that camo, purple, sunsets. Yeah, that looks
camo strap was nice.
Yeah, that's pretty rad,
really
man.
Nice.
Yeah. But it's not Velcro, so I like that Sorai. I think that if I'm in Crazy Town, that's where I'm going because I like that.
Yeah.
Except I'm not that crazy, so I'd probably put the gray Velcro strap on. To tone it down a little.
I think they said they're all pre-sold, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's not this isn't a put your money where your mouth is situation.
That ship is sailed, I guess. But no, I'm similar to you. I like pretty basic, simple things.
Yeah.
So that Aqua Racer worked for me as well. I think I may have offended the guy when I said because I said that. I was like, I like kind of simple, boring. I don't know if I used the word boring, but I didn't mean it in an offensive way.
Yeah.
Referring to that watch. Because you see a lot of the watches that I haven't buy. They're all
you're wearing a sub
snooze
for
fest,
crying out loud.
But I like it. That's me, and those are the watches that I gravitate towards. And I don't know how he took that. I like boring stuff.
I do too.
No, you got 4 lines of text on your sub. That's not boring.
So much going on.
That's me living on the wild side.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're ever bored, you could just read. You could just read off the. If you're ever bored in the bathroom, or you just something to read.
Look, I would put some crazy ass strap on this thing.
And, I totally would too.
Have fun with it. I like doing it that way.
I think a surprise for me too was from Bulgari, and it was the watch that she was wearing more than the watches we saw. I really fell in love with it. Yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing. That watch was really made an impression on me.
It was
to see one.
I don't know if it was rose gold, but it definitely had a very warm
It was
hue.
not just yellow gold.
Yeah, it wasn't straight yellow.
I'm sure they have a name for it or something like that. Hopefully we'll get to see one of those.
What did those retail for?
The gold ones a bit more. I think you can get into some of the steel or titanium ones for under 15.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they're yes. I don't know exactly, but certainly under 15.
And then on the secondary market, even less.
Yeah. We were having this conversation on Slack, but I feel like if you're gonna get a watch of that caliber, just really lean in. If you're gonna get a watch, something that's in the 5-digit territory, just go all gold or do something crazy. I don't know if all gold is crazy, but I just feel just really lean into it. Don't just get the steel version.
You can get them under 10.
You can get them under 10?
Easily.
The gold one?
Yeah. No, not the gold, but the steel.
Okay.
They're on Watch Recon everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Watch Recon, look out. I think we'll have a few alerts after this show. SAXEM's all right.
It's been my alert
Gold
for
Bulgari.
Forever, yeah.
So Zach has revealed 2 of his Watch Recon alerts, which he said that he wouldn't.
Would you publicly reveal all of your
I don't know.
There's secrets, man.
It's
personal.
It's really personal.
It's very personal.
Opening up the vaults.
The most personal thing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you would fight anyone who said the Defy was a Royal Oak knockoff.
I would absolutely
fisticuffs
here and now or anytime fight anyone who says the Zenith Defy of any type is a knockoff of the Royal Oak. It's completely ridiculous. I've written about it. I will put the link to my review of the Zenith Defy Classic where I go into detail about why it's not a ripoff. But yeah, no, this is one of my I guess one of my great watch community pet peeves is when people say that the Royal Oak is a knockoff of the or that the Defy is a knockoff of the Royal Oak because it's patently absurd. Yeah. Any
other hills you are willing to die on?
No, that's the one hill
the one.
I'm willing to die on. That's the hill. Yeah. Get me to my coffin. I'm ready to die.
Okay. What about you, Thomas? Any hills you're dying on?
No, man. No hills. No hills here, man.
Okay. No. All right. I've got my frame date window hang up. That's my little thing. It's ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't like frame date windows.
Oh, see, I prefer them.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. No. All right. So listen. Here's my thinking.
Let's hash this out.
All right. So like when I was in high school and people were like modifying their like Integras or their cars and you didn't have much money, so you're trying to find like cool things to do with them.
Yeah.
And you go to like Pet Boys or eBay or whatever,
the
and
chrome.
you get these like chrome things and like line your door.
Yeah.
And your like gas cap thing. And I'm like, oh, well, the designers go out of their way to like hide those lines. Like those are functional lines. But like I take a step back and be able to see these lines of the car, and the whole design as a whole works. So you're highlighting a part of that car shape that the designer was actively trying to hide, but it's a functional component of a car, obviously. And I view these frame date windows as the same way. Like that's an element that is useful and functional, but it's being like highlighted in a way that detracts from the whole design of the watch.
But what if it doesn't though? What if the frame is integral to?
Then that's fine.
Design?
If it's just like just a straight frame, like, and this is why I don't have Grand Seiko right now.
But I mean, I would argue that Grand Seiko does it better than anyone when it comes to frames.
Just a frame. Yeah. And I don't know.
But they're like Zeratsu polished sometimes. Like they're incredibly well finished.
The cheapness of the stuff that they put on the door frame was not the issue. It could have been $10,000 siding, whatever. I don't care. Like it's still highlighting something that I don't want to see when I'm taking in the design as a whole.
Okay. And my point of view is like, if a watch has a date, that is a complication of the watch that should be showcased and something you're going to often like quickly look at. And I feel like the date window allows you to kind of find it really quick. Like it just brings your eyes to it a little bit more.
Okay.
I see your point, definitely. And now I'm not going to look at one without thinking about that.
But, sorry.
And if the date window, or if the date wheel, I should say, is like the same color, which like rarely happens, I don't mind it not having the frame. Like I like the blend if it's like the same color, but oftentimes it's not. And I feel like the date window kind of just like makes it a little nicer. Like makes that date wheel a little nicer.
I don't want to argue there's certainly like some nice ones and well done ones. It's just, taking a step back.
Hot takes.
Yeah, it's I feel like some of them have where the dial is kind of like angled down into the window, or it's kind of like a.
Yeah, so like this one has I'm pointing to my IWC chronograph, has like a little step down.
Yeah,
So like, I mean, to me that feels like a frame because it's not. It's like it's an ornamentation that's something above and beyond, or in this case below, just like a cutout without any sort of.
Yeah, the cutout just looks like sloppy to me sometimes.
I agree. I think there has to be some kind of like, I don't know, I like a decorative element, on that. I think it's watches should be beautiful. Watches are beautiful things. For the sake of being beautiful.
I also prefer watches without dates for the most part.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. Yeah, I mean ideally, I think all things being equal, I'd rather not have a date.
But I can add 4 + 3 to make my golf score. I can keep track of the date of the month.
Yeah,
I know what hole I'm on.
If I misdate a check or whatever, I mean, come on, big deal.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know your thoughts here. Are we crazy? What are your thoughts on date windows? We need to know.
No one's ever even the thought to comment on something so silly as a date window. We'll never get any responses if we ask for thoughts on date windows. If we didn't think
about this kind of stuff, though, we probably wouldn't be in the jobs that we have. We're weirdos because we think about this kind of stuff. All right, but let us know down in the comments. We appreciate it. And let us know what you think of the releases from LVMH Watch Week. Were the hits, were the misses? What do you want to see from Watches and Wonders from these brands? Let us know. And until next week, thanks for tuning in. Take care.